In this video, I'll be running through the 5 keys to running Advantage Plus campaigns for e-commerce brands. So how to maximize performance in any Advantage Plus campaign that you set up, run, and optimize. Last quarter, we spent over $2 million on Advantage Plus campaigns for e-commerce. So these 5 tips that I'm about to run through comes directly out of this ad spend across 60 plus different Facebook accounts. Number 1, audience breakdowns aren't actually accurate. One of the best features, one of the best abilities of Advantage Plus campaigns is you get to use the breakdown feature to see new customers versus existing customer data. But it really isn't accurate, and you absolutely shouldn't use it as a source of truth. Should you reference it? Should you use it in your analysis? Absolutely, but you shouldn't be using it as a core source of truth. In case you don't know what I'm talking about with audience type breakdowns, if you go to the breakdown section in Facebook, then click audience type, it's going to give you a breakdown of new customer versus existing customer data within your Advantage Plus campaigns. Now you have to go into your business settings and set up and specify the custom audiences so that Facebook knows how to segment these two audiences accordingly. And we would recommend segmenting by every audience. We wouldn't just segment by purchases, we'd also put visitors in there and everything. So we get a true accurate picture of, let's segment out visitors, anyone that's interacted with the brand, and let's consider them an existing customer. And then anyone else will consider a new customer. We can see in here, $10,000 is spent on new customers, 1.4 on existing. 185 purchases on new customers, 44 on existing. And then the associated ROAS numbers down the bottom there. The issue is if you reference this against any third-party attribution software, for example, we did Triple Whale in this instance, you can see that the same campaign, Triple Whale is reporting a 0.4 new customer ROAS. Facebook on 1.72, Triple Whale is 0.4. So Facebook is over-attributing by 4x, really showing that you can't take this breakdown that seriously. You can take it as a grain of salt, but we really wouldn't recommend scaling campaigns based on in-platform metrics that are reported to you based on this new customer acquisition breakdown. Number 2, there is always an initial 3 to 4 day results lag when it comes to launching Advantage Plus campaigns. And you're probably not used to this on Facebook because a typical ABO, an ad set where the budget is set at the ad set level, is going to perform immediately, really after 24 hours, as long as you're giving it enough budget. But an Advantage Plus campaign, regardless of how much budget you give it, will really not show any degree of performance for 3 to 4 days. And this really threw us off at the start, 12 months ago when we started launching Advantage Plus campaigns, because we were treating them like ABOs. We'd launch them, we wouldn't see performance for 2 to 3 days, regardless of how high the budget was, and we would kill them. And we thought it wasn't a good campaign type. But quickly, we realized that if you run them for longer than 3 to 4 days, that's where you start to see the pickup in performance. So however the algorithm is set up on the back end for these particular campaigns, they're set up with a longer conversion cycle, number 1, or they're set up to not hone in on audiences until a larger data set has been accumulated within the campaign. It's likely the latter, but it could also be a bit of the former as well. So what does this mean for you? Generally speaking, I wouldn't launch Advantage Plus campaigns at too high of a budget because they simply will not perform in the first 3 to 4 days, regardless of where the budget is. I also wouldn't launch them at too low of a budget. The reason being is that if you increase Advantage Plus campaigns by more than 20 to 30% budget at a time, it tends to reset the learning and kick the Advantage Plus campaign back into a 3 to 4 day lull. So you want to set it high enough where you can grow it quite quickly, but you don't want to set it too high to where you get a lot of wasted spend in the first 3 to 4 days. A general rule of thumb, I wouldn't launch an Advantage Plus any lower than a $60 a day budget. I wouldn't launch one any higher than $200 a day. So make sure to give them time. In regards to scaling, do you scale Advantage Plus campaigns horizontally or vertically? Vertically being increasing the budget, horizontally being duplicating them out or making more of them. Both work, which is fantastic. Now, sometimes duplicating won't work, sometimes it will. Sometimes increasing budgets will work, sometimes it won't. Okay, there's no real rule of thumb that we've found here with the millions of dollars that we've spent on these campaigns. It really just comes down to the individual ad account. Some ad accounts preference duplication, some preference budget increases. You just have to figure out what works in your exact ad account based on the data accumulated and the exact campaign structures that you're using, and then lean a little bit more heavily into one or the other. However, I wouldn't recommend neglecting one or the other. Both will work for your ad account, so absolutely try both. Number 4, separate dynamic ads from static ads. And this is going to be a quick, short one. It's pretty simple. Anytime you put a dynamic within an Advantage Plus, it gets all the spend. So your statics won't spend any money, and it'll just be one big Advantage Plus campaign that's just spending on a dynamic carousel. That's fine. The issue is dynamic carousels will always preferentially place on existing customers or high intent users. And so if you set up an Advantage Plus campaign and you throw a dynamic in there, and then you have a few others that have dynamics and statics and then just statics and just videos, the one with the dynamics will always perform the best, guaranteed, always perform the best. And the reason for it is because the campaign will heavily prefer to place ads on people that have interacted with the brand in the past. So it turns into a glorified retargeting campaign. And so the numbers look better on the front end, but in reality, you're not driving any new customer acquisition here. You're just driving existing customers or existing visitors back to site, which is what the retargeting campaign would have done anyway. So be careful with dynamics when you put them in Advantage Plus campaigns. I'd recommend just not putting them in at all. And number 5, use less than 5 creatives. More than 5 creatives in a single Advantage Plus campaign tends to always kill the performance. Now, the theory behind why we believe this is the case is because budget gets split too thin between all of the different assets that it either, number 1, keeps the Advantage Plus campaign in the learning phase, or number 2, starts to develop sequencing between creatives, and there's so many infinite possibilities of creative sequences within the Advantage Plus that once again it never exits a learning phase. What do I mean by sequences? Well, some proportion of the time, Facebook will not just take one creative and push it. It will take a combination of creatives and push them in a particular sequence. So if you have 3 ads within an ad set or within an Advantage Plus campaign in this instance, it will try to figure out, is pushing ad 1, then ad 2, then ad 3 to the end user going to get the conversion? Or is pushing ad 2, then ad 3, then ad 1 going to get the click and the conversion? Or is it ad 3, ad 3, ad 3, then ad 1 that's going to get the click and the conversion? So it's going to be split testing all of these different sequences of serving ads to end users to try to determine what the most optimal sequence is to then optimize towards that. More than 5 creatives, the amount of sequencing options becomes so infinitely high that the Advantage Plus campaign will never be able to choose a sequence or will prematurely choose a sequence that's suboptimal. So you really want to be making sure that you have 3 to 4 creatives in an Advantage Plus. And with that being said, that brings me to the end of the video. So just to recap, the 5 main changes was number 1, audience breakdowns aren't accurate. Make sure to not use them as a source of truth. Number 2, there's an initial 3 to 4 day lag time for results, so make sure to give them time. Number 3 is you can scale both horizontal and vertical. They both work in every account. One will always work slightly better than the other though, so make sure to figure which one works better for you. Lean into it. Number 4, always separate dynamic ads from statics. In fact, I wouldn't run dynamics at all in any of your Advantage Plus campaigns as it just turns them into glorified retargeting campaigns. And number 5, use less than 5 creatives.